All right. Well, hello and welcome to all of you. Nice to see you all here on a summer Sunday, and nice to be able to offer this to you. Um, I like the simple. It's one of the things that really resonates so deeply with me. I guess it has a lot to do with my relationship with children over the years. It seems to me, unless something is simple, it can never be universal. Because everything that's really important in our lives, we're really intended to learn very young. If there is such a thing as tragedy, and it's just relative after all in a dualistic world, it's that some of the most important information that a human being can have in their life that unfortunately they usually don't discover until they've already had a lot of problems and they're already somewhere around the middle point of their life one way or another. It's the simple that makes a difference. One of the great plagues of what it is to be a modern being is how intelligent and informed we tend to be. All of that intelligence and all of that information, unfortunately, is something that is packaged together in what is referred to as the not-self. I think until you get back to the simple, until you touch the simple, until you live the simple, that the truth is something that escapes you. We tend to be very complex. It is mind, after all. It's always mind, isn't it? I mean, it's the great irony of this whole process. And I see it over and over again in my life and in the beings that are here. It's mind. The irony is that we live and exist through it. And yet it, to truly be the mind of a nine-centered being, cannot be in charge of the life. It is the most difficult of all things. I mean, over these decades now that I've been involved in this work, it is so obvious to me that the body is something that you can realign, correct, almost instantaneously if someone's ready. But mind, how mind lingers, how it distorts, how it becomes a thing that can actually play out one's strategy and authority without ever that being truly what you live. It's mind that gets in the way. It's difficult and it's funny in its own way. Here I am, mindy as I am, delivering all this nice intellectual, logical packaging to all of these minds. And yet mind is what gets in the way. It just does. And until you can live your life without your mind running it, until then, you are not self. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. No pretension, no study, no this, no that, no all the stuff that I hear all the time. You see, because it's not what it's about. I know the world of seekers. I know them really well. But seeking is a way of life. It's not an answer. Human design is about answers. Just answers. Simple, mechanical answers. It isn't about some kind of deep philosophical this or that, or some spiritual, mystical, religious, whatever. It isn't. You see, there's something that I guess is the most difficult thing to grasp. Is that the essence of what we are, what in human design we refer to as the crystals of consciousness, have absolutely nothing in any way, shape, or form that is connected to this biomechanical atomic world that we live in. We are passengers in these vehicles. Passengers in these vehicles. The mind passenger is in the vehicle, does not control it, cannot control it. You see, we are truly alien in this adventure. But most human beings are so deeply attached to their lives, deeply attached to not self-purpose. I have to have this, I need to go there, I have to have this one, that thing, whatever it may be. The not self-purpose of, I'm going to be enlightened, all these not self jokes. See, the great mystery for me is that each and every one of you are a magical, magical being. And how lost all that is. Because you don't recognize it yourself. Because you've never met it. You haven't. You're still living in a world that's framed by your mind and your memories and your conditioning. It's hard to see what that being could be, might be, if you take away all that darkness and all that shroud. And you see, you can't see it right away. You can't. It's these forms that we're in. They're cellular. They take time, 7-year cycles, turnings of the wheel. You can't just want it and have it. You've got to see it and move towards it. You've got to live it. And it all goes back to the simple, the simple, the simple. Not all the complexities. Because it's about your life. And your life is not about an idea. It isn't. See, if you surrender to it, if you can, then you get to see the wonder of what it is to be here. And this is no small miracle. This is a mad, 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 mad world. And it's not like the world's going to be changed. That there's going to be some spectacular moment and everybody is suddenly going to awaken. Everybody lives in the program. The vast majority of humanity is not self. They will never escape that. You who are privileged enough to be able to see at least a glimpse of this must understand that all you can do is fully surrender to your form principle. Watch the movie. Watch the movie. It's the vehicle's life. Stop interfering. It's what human beings do all the time. This is mind interfering. So afraid. Inculcated with fear from the moment that you come into the world, from the moment that you're told that you're not this and you're not that, and you should be this and you should be that, and you can't be this and you can't be that. And so we seek out all these complexities, the this and that that's out there, in the assumption that some this or that is going to do something, is going to make the difference. It isn't about mind. It isn't. It's about the body. My theme today is auras. Auras. I don't think that there is anything in the New Age that is more misunderstood than the aura. The aura has this kind of connotation that it's a kind of, byproduct of an energetic entity. The aura is your type. Everything that I've ever described, or anything that you've ever learned about type, is a description of the aura. See, at the deepest level in human design, when you go beneath the line, you go down to the color and you get to the tone. In our architecture, our cognitive architecture, you can see that we are nothing but frequency. Frequency. We have very, very specific frequency ranges. Aura is the name that we give to this. but it's the type that you're meeting. It is a frequency that's established by the dynamics inherent in the graph, the definition that forms that particular function, whatever it may be. See, the aura is something to really, really, really take in deeply, because it tells you everything that you need to know about life, love. I mean, here we have the generator. Generators. They're one of those things that really fascinate me. I mean, I'm a manifester, so I'm a non-sacral being, and in my particular case, I have no gates activating my sacral at all, so I've been very susceptible to sacral influence all of my life, and I've been very aware of it in all kinds of ways. See, the only beings on this planet that evolved in perfect symmetry with the planet itself are generators. I mean, they are literally the life force of the planet. If you take away all the generators, humanity dies. You know, that kind of scenario. They are the life force. They are the life force of the species. And it says a lot about the nature of our species when you think about it. What is it about this generator aura? This generator aura is really something because it is an enveloping aura. Enveloping. Think about generators. Whether you're one or you know one, or you have a child or a parent that's a generator. They are helpless in their enveloping. Now think about that, because everything is a duality. Think about what it's like to be a generator with an enveloping aura and you're walking through the mall. I mean, I'm a manifester. I go through the mall. I don't touch a soul. Generator goes through the mall. They're picking up everything. They're taking everything in. I mean, everything. That's what generators do. They envelop. And you see, not only do they unconsciously, unwillingly envelop others, but of course it's inherent in their psychology, deep within them, to envelop the other. And that when they meet resistance to that envelopment, there is always discomfort. Look at the key. This existential question that's there. You can see it at the bottom here. You know, who am I? Who am I? Nobody else is here to ask that question, because nobody else other than a generator is here to get the answer. It's just like that. As a matter of fact, the other types have very different interests, as you will see. But it says something about a generator if the existential question is, who am I? Boy, are you in trouble if you don't find out. I mean, it's that simple, isn't it? You know, I used to tell the story of the Oracle of Delphi, that know thyself, you know, this writing over the entrance that, you know, it once included, you know, generators only, because this is who it's for, this self-knowledge. And you see, nobody else is equipped with the mechanism of self-knowledge. No one else. No manifester, no projector, no reflector, because they are non-sacral beings. It is that sacral center that can always define that self. Who am I? Am I this? Am I that? There within the beauty of that sacral center is the truth. The essence of that being. Now I want you to think about something. if your frequency isn't right, everything about your cognition gets dumbed down. The only way that your frequency is right is that you're operating according to your strategy and authority. Your strategy and authority is a byproduct of you as a holistic being. It's all about you having the right frequency. It's the frequency in the aura. I mean, I feel it all the time. You can tell. And it is one of these things about the nature of the generator is that generators who do not know themselves, that the frequency of their envelopment is quite a thing. They are the cement of the not-self world. Think about the envelopment in your local mosque, church, temple. Think about it. See, I always figured that if I could wake up a generator, I could change the world. And I thought it would be easy. I mean, after all, they got something to talk to. I mean, I really thought it would be easy. It's not. And why not? Mind. You know, it's always the same movie. It's always the same movie. See, from the moment you came into the world, your mind was given the authority to run your life. This is the way you were trained. It's the way you were educated. It's the way your culture works. It's the way everything that you've ever been taught works. Not such an easy thing to shed, is it? And it's not like you can turn it off. There is no such thing as no mind. I mean, dead will do that. Now think about what it means to be satisfied. Every single type has a signature. And the signature expresses, in a sense, the perfection of that aura. That aura of satisfaction. But think about what it means to be a generator and to be satisfied. It means that you have to be able to envelop what is correct for you, because whatever is around you, you're going to take in deeply. See, it would be very easy to wake up in a cave. I can wake anybody up in a cave all by themselves. But when you step out into the world, you come out of your cave and you're a generator. And the flotsam and jetsam of the planet is going to move through your aura and you're going to suck it all in. We'll see how easy it is to be awake. See, as long as your mind is in the game, you're always stuck. You're always a prisoner. You're never free. Never. But you see, it takes enormous courage to give up on your mind running your life. It takes enormous courage. Because you don't do this for anyone. You don't do this because of anyone. You can only do this for yourself. And the moment that you do this for yourself, you no longer belong anywhere else. See, uniqueness is not the same as belonging to a tribe or a club or a prayer group, or it isn't about any of those things. It's about your own authority. It's about the perfection of your own process. It is not about them. It is about the perfection of you. Not everybody is ready for such a journey. You know, you can take a pinch of human design and still manage to have a better life. Learn certain things about yourself. But this is not the point of this. I didn't come here to be Mr. Self-Help. soothe the wounds of a mad society. It isn't about that. It's about being a nine-centered being. If there's anything that I bring is an understanding that we are something evolutionarily that's different. And in this difference lies an enormous privilege because we have this incredible information base of being able to understand the mechanical nature of what it is to be us. But you see, to be a generator, to be an awakened generator, is to be the ultimate cliff jumper, you know. You can never know. You can never know. You can only respond. That's all you're here for, is the perfection of that response. To be perfectly in tune with this plane. It's what it's all about, nothing more, nothing less. I know this in my own way. I'm a splenic manifester. I truly do not understand why my spleen will go yes or no to this or that. I could make up reasons. It's what people do. I just let it be what it is. It goes yes, it goes no, okay. I watch. See where it goes. See, to be a generator is never to know what's going to come next. And yet at the same time, that can be the most incredibly secure, warm, real place. Because this is the perfection of generator. Oh, I know so many generators. Their minds desperately need to initiate. Desperately need to initiate. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Know thyself. That's all you can do as a generator. Know thyself. And you're only going to know yourself not by going through some manual, some book, some this, some that. You will know yourself by discovering yourself. You'll discover yourself one response after the other, and the journey never ends. Because all of this is about the journey. It isn't about anything else. It's the beauty of this process. See, the whole thing about human design is that it's not something to learn, it's something to live. To live. You live this. One decision at a time. You live it. You can't play at this. Oh, you could try. People always do, don't they? The next largest group of humans on the planet are projectors. Generators are about 67%. Projectors just over 20%. They're very different, and yet they dominate this plane. The projector is the most common non-sacral being. The projector obviously dominates the plane with its sacral power. The thing that's so fascinating to me about the projector is you see its existential question. And this existential question is this almost perfect binary, in a sense, to the generator. Here is the generator, and everything about the nature of their frequency is determined by their self-knowledge. Everything. The lack of self-knowledge in a generator is deeply distorting because, of course, of their enveloping aura. It carries its distortion into others. But the moment that you step over to the projector, everything about the projector is not them. It's not about who am I. It isn't. It's who are you. It's who are you. That's very different. And it's very different in many ways. Who am I is a private, personal, internal process. Who are you can never be. It's a joke, is it not? That the generator with its enveloping aura is truly only interested in itself, and the projector with its penetrating aura is only interested in the other. They are, how shall I say, strange bedfellows. The projector aura is extraordinary. It's so different. It is a penetrating aura. It is a focused aura. It literally goes into the core of the being. It's what it's there for, to recognize, to be recognized. And yet this focused aura can be disturbing when the frequency is disturbing. What it is to be a projector. What it means to wait for the invitation. What it means to allow life to serve. See, this is something that we don't understand anymore. It was erased by seven-centered beings. This alignment to the world that we live in. Our grace on this plane. Everything about the nature of the projector is that the projector is here to see. It's what they're all about. And yet all of that, everything about the nature of what they're going to be as a being, is that they need to be seen because they don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. Isn't that one of the strange things? Here you have a type that's designed to be recognized and to recognize, yet they don't know who they are. And you know, the upbringing of a not self-projector is something that can be truly painful. You know, the not self theme of the projector is bitterness. Bitterness at not being recognized. But you see, like the generator, whose frequency can only be correct when they know themselves, that the projector and their frequency can only be correct when they discover the world around them. It's what they're about. You know, projectors are here to be the masters of systems. There's an incredible potential in them to be able to, well, in the theme of who they are, to recognize, and in that recognition, to find success. And success is the recognition that comes with the recognition. Not to sound too redundant. But who are you? You know, my work with projectors, you know, if I do a clinic or these kinds of things, I'm always reminding them that they need to bring the charts of other people because that's where they need to put their focus. The projector does learn about themselves. But they learn about themselves in the same way that most human beings experience their unconscious. That is, they begin to recognize it over time as traits. The projector begins to recognize itself by recognizing things in others that they themselves have. Slowly but surely they build up a composite. It's in this process of mastering and understanding of the other that they themselves transcend. It's why they need something that they truly can understand, make sense of, or know. It's what marks them in this life. But think about their aura. This is a focused aura. You've got a projector friend. You enjoy their company. You want them to meet a friend of yours. You're asking for a disaster. You know? 3 people. One of them's a projector. You can only look at one person at a time. You can only connect aurically as a projector to one person at a time. It's all about the aura. So often projectors are, get a negative social reaction, not because of the penetration of their aura on a person, but a person not getting any. See, we're all determined by these energy fields that are around us, and these energy fields that are around us are not necessarily a frequency that operates correctly. When the frequency is not correct, all kinds of things begin to break down. Most of all, the deep cognitive potential that's there in a being. And it always goes back to the simple. It always goes back to the basic thing. Can you live by your authority? Can you? Can you? Can you do so without your mind calling time out and saying, well, in this particular case, I have to do this? Can you? Don't feel bad if you can't. If you can't, you can't. There's a choicelessness in all of this. There are many people who approach doors. Not everybody walks through. Not everybody can. It's not a matter of choice. It's why it's so important to surrender to the vehicle. To live the choiceless personality in this life. All right, let's see. Manifestors. They're about 9%, 8% of the population. Obviously, they are non-sacral beings. Everything about the nature of being a manifestor is rooted in limitation, and limitation in terms of the social dynamic, because it has a closed and repelling aura. That's what manifestors are about. I used to make the joke that when the manifestor comes out of the womb, the first sound that he hears is, uh-oh, trouble. Because it's the nature of the aura. Manifestors are different. In some ways, they belong to another age. That is, they belong to a time when manifesting was the way in which things were done. It is an age now where they are indeed a minority. The dilemma for the manifestor is that, unlike everybody else, there is this illusion that there is no waiting. It's an illusion, but nonetheless. Everything about the manifestor is, can they act? Can they act? The action comes one way or another, and that action is met with resistance. It's the nature of their existence. Look at their question. Buried within the nature of the manifestor is, who do I impact? It's why the manifestor's strategy is to inform. It is the only real strategy for a manifestor. And yet in that informing, an understanding of who will be impacted. It's everything about them. And you see, the manifestor that cannot impact, well, isn't quite a manifestor. Most manifestors suffer from generator disease. Think about the school dance, the high school dance, that kind of thing, where the boys on one side and the girls on the other side. Now, a manifestor is forced to act, which means that they are always facing the possibility of rejection. Most manifestors, by the time they're teenagers, have given up on initiating because there's too much punishment. They prefer to be generators. Most manifestors that you'll meet in this life are waiting to respond. They're not manifestors at all. And their auras are deeply distorted by that. All the non-sacral beings suffer from exhaustion in trying to be generators. In one way or another, all non-sacral beings succumb to this potential because of the very force and nature of what it is to be sacral. When you're dealing with the manifestor, the difference is, of course, that they have an energy system that gets to the throat. So in fact they do and can act. But you see, those manifestors that are out there with their repelling aura, they do not understand why they meet resistance, why it's not easy for them to get close to others, why in fact, their lives can be so uncomfortable and alone. And their theme is anger, the not-self theme, this deep, deep, deep potential for anger. Who do they impact? See, only when the manifestor can truly impact can they find their peace. Only when they can inform can they find their peace. And you see, all of this goes back to something very simple. It just does. It goes back to the very nature of what it is to be here on this plane. We're not here to be in charge of our lives. We're here to witness them. Witness them. It's not about whether you're this or that, or would like to have this or that. It's about just letting it be what it is, because it will surprise you. Because you see, there's this incredible magic in uniqueness. In lives that can be pulled out of the mundane, that can be transformed, that can transcend, that can live in the purity of what it is to be them and enjoy their journey. And it always goes back to the simple. It doesn't go back to why or why not. I don't know why my spleen goes this way or that. It doesn't matter. It's not the point. You see, we're so afraid about our lives that we're going to lose this or miss that or won't have this or can't have that, all that stuff. But you don't get to live it. You don't. You chase after all the ghosts. You chase after all the not-self dreams. You never get to see that all those things that you wondered about, the possibilities of what it is in awareness, is all there. It's there. Each and every one of you, you carry it within you. It's just about allowing it to live. And you do that without your mind running the show, dictating the show. What good is it going to do for a manifestor to want to be a generator, What good is it going to do that their mind convinces them, based on their conditioning, that they should do this or that they should wait, that they shouldn't push, This is the way human beings are, no matter what type you are. Your mind is always after something else. It's always after what you're not. But you're not. And you see, it's not like you can put your finger on it. Because you can't. See, there's so much instant gratification in the world that we live in. It doesn't work that way. Not when it comes to deconditioning, not when it comes to all that stuff that's buried deep within you. All of that stuff that was never yours, that didn't belong to you. All those concepts. All that homogenization that everybody nods their head to. That you think intellectually that you can break away from that, when in fact you do not. Because your mind is still working. It's still measuring. It's still measuring based on the experience it has had as your instrument all these years. It doesn't just change. It doesn't stop being mind. It doesn't applaud your efforts. You see, this is about a different kind of life. It's not about the life that we've been introduced to. It's not the life that the world lives. It isn't about that. It's about opening up a new path, a new way. Homogenization is the idea that there's a path that people can follow. Human design says you've got your own. Why don't you watch where it takes you? Why don't you let it just take you there? Why don't you just finally surrender to it? And surrender is not some kind of fuzzy concept in the context of human design. Surrender is very easy. Stop allowing your mind to tell you what to do. Don't listen when it tells you what to do. Let it do what it does. Let it measure. It'll say there's this and that, and this looks better, and blah, blah, blah. Let's do this. There's nothing to do. There isn't anything to do. You're here to be moved by your form. Let the form decide. Let the form move you. 51% of humanity are emotional beings. Means no truth in the now. Means living in a unique frequency. Waiting for emotional clarity. Waiting through the wave. Waiting for your emotions to move you when you cannot not move. And then the correctness of what it is to be. To allow your form to move you. It's what it's all about. They're just vehicles. We have what is an obvious attachment to them, but they're just vehicles. And they're very different from our consciousness. And if you weren't so attached to them, you would get to see your life. You would get to see the possibilities that are there for you in this life. And it's not about the themes of having or not having. It's not about the illusion of where you think this is going to take you. Drop all that. It's one breath at a time as yourself, nothing more. One breath at a time as yourself, think about it. Billions and billions of people on this planet who have never truly lived who they are. You can take one breath at a time, can you not? To see what that is. That when we are not pack animals, that we are not out of some common mold, that we don't have a communal destiny, that we are unique individual beings with a unique potential and authority, each and every one of us. We are not here to be led. You're not here to be led, not by me, not by anybody. You're here to live what is correct for you as yourself. That's simple, not easy. With the mind, nothing's easy. But for the body, it's very simple, and your body will reward you. It will reward you. It will reward you with a better functioning brain system, with a healthier form. It'll reward you with a geometry that will take you where you're intended to go and what you're intended to see and to experience in this life. See, there's a great potential in us to transform the consciousness field. A potential. I'm not placing any bets. But it's just something to understand. There's this potential to transform the consciousness field, not by vast numbers of homogenized beings repeating the same concepts, but by unique beings expressing their outer authority. Our species has been so dumbed down for so long. You see, everything about the transformation of an individual being is to open up their outer authority. The rightful role of mind in a nine-centered life. The witness consciousness with the gift of being able to express it. The beauty of what it is to be us. me to you now, this extraordinary, unique way in which we as a species communicate to each other in such detail. The magic of it. How beautiful it can be. No. And you see, we're all here to express the magic of outer authority. Not as opinion, not as ideas, not as insights, but witness consciousness. What you're uniquely designed to experience and to express in the perfection of your process. That's the goal in all of this. The life part should be easy. You know, we're not here to suffer on this plane. We're not here to have material heartache on this plane. I mean, understanding the mechanics of the bioform allows you to see that if you follow your strategy and authority, you're going to survive on this plane. It's not about any kind of not self-measurement about what you think you should have or not have or this or that. That's another movie. You don't know what is the perfect balance for you between this and that until you're there, until you allow it to come into your life. Fascinating thing about the nature of reflectors. I'm a great admirer of the Matrix movies. Very entertaining. And being able to know when somebody can be pulled out of the homogenized world. It's interesting, so many beings in the homogenized world who could, in fact, transform their process don't know that. I mean, they don't know that. It's one of the things that's so interesting about the reflector. The not-self-reflector is a master of the homogenized world. They are on the other side in the homogenized world, seeing who doesn't fit in, which of course can be quite negative. But when you have a human design reflector, I'm always pleased to have human design reflectors, they see it the other way. They see who's different in the way in which they're different. That is, those that are ready to step out of or can step out of the homogenized world. They're samplers. And because they're lunar as opposed to being solar, they have an extraordinary relationship, not just simply with the lunar cycle that's part of their authority, but with the program itself. In so many ways, they measure the way in which the program moves through others. It's how they see difference. Those that fit in and don't fit in to the program. Those that resist or do not resist the program. And yet for them, it always becomes a matter of community. It is so much a part of their life that they need to have a vibrant community that they can sample. It's the sampling of this community that enhances their well-being. But in the end, it always goes back to the same thing. It doesn't matter what type you're looking at. It doesn't matter what their individual story is. It's just about whether they can live the simple. Can you live the simple? Now, I've been doing this a long time. I'm approaching the 24th anniversary of my experience. And it's so incredibly simple in the end. It is just life. And it moves. And the beauty of this process is to allow it to do so. Nothing more. It's the watching. We're here to see. You can't see if your mind is caught up with what it should be doing, shouldn't be doing, what that person did, what that person should do. The blame game, the shame game. all that stuff. You don't see. You don't see when you're carrying grudge. You don't see when you got a problem. You don't see. You just don't. You're just caught up in all that stuff. And it frames the way you look at things. It comes out of your open centers, the hanging gates, whatever it may be. It's just the way mind works. It's so easy to be distorted at that level. So easy. It's why it's the great battle. And there's only one thing you can do. There isn't anything else. You know you. You buckle up. And you stay with your body. And you see where the ride takes you. That's the experiment. I mean, you don't have to do it. Nobody has to do anything. It's the experiment. It's about whether or not you're ready for that. And it's not something to dabble with. Because it doesn't work that way. You know, this is not something that's trendy. I sure as hell hope not. You know, this is, as I said, everything about this is entering into the journey. Nothing else. Nothing else. I mean, after all of us, including myself, we lived most of our lives deeply, deeply, deeply conditioned. Deeply conditioned. It's amazing that we can even begin a deconditioning process. It's even more amazing that you can go through that process, that you can get to the other side of that. And many, many, many have. It's just one breath at a time. It's what it is to be here. One breath at a time. Make decisions as yourself. And let your mind do what it does. Just let it rattle on and rattle on and rattle on. But don't get suckered in. Don't get caught in the fear. Don't get caught in the traps. It's so easy to do. It's all about enlightened selfishness. It's about doing something unbelievable for yourself. For yourself. For your life. And through that, ultimately, for others. But for yourself. For you. You don't want to go to the end of your days and regret the fact that you never took that ride. You know, and it's not about thinking it. It's about living it. Just do it. Nothing else. You get to see how wonderful it is. The mystery of it over and over and over again. This incredible mystery. I watch my spleen. It is one of the most extraordinary things for me. I mean, I'm a bright guy. I have no idea how it does what it does. The magic of it. And to surrender to that, how easy it is for me to surrender to that now, after all these years. It just does what it does. And I get to see. You're here to see. You know, the world's blind. They don't see anything. You're here to see. We're made to see. We're made to be aware. We're designed to be cognitively profound. All you got to do is let go. Just let go. Let go of this trap. Yeah. Well, that was my little journey for you today. I hope you enjoyed that. You know, whenever I get to share information about human design, I'm always struck by the same thing. Truth is a very rare thing on this plane. Very rare thing. There is something so extraordinary about a truth about oneself that can be realized. This is not a sham. It's not a hustle. It's one of the most magnificent things. These body graphs, this window on oneself, the revealed mechanics of what it is to navigate on this plane. It's so beautiful. But it's not magic until it's lived. That magic is there for anyone. Anyone who's ready. Anyone who can take the heat of what it is to be different and live it. I wish that for all of you. And a good summer. And hopefully I'll see some of you in the fall. And until then, all of you take care. I will have this posted in the Monday newsletter from Jovian and also on my Facebook page for you, those of you that have access there. And nice sharing it with you. Nice seeing you all. You take care. Bye for now.